Well, the next couple of days will continue to bring roller coaster temperatures, but also in and out clouds. And even tonight, areas of fog are expected to develop. So we do have some changes in the weather pattern, even though a ridge of high pressure is going to park itself over the Pacific Northwest before giving way to a cold front this weekend. Hey everyone, Darrell here from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. We've got a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. We're going to look at what's been happening today, the changes we've already seen, and what's expected through the next couple of days. Even as we get into Halloween, we'll take a quick little look at some of those trick-or-treating times and let you know if anything there's going to be anything to worry about. But for the most part, buckle up. It's going to be fun. Let's get started. Here's what it looks like across the high desert. We have tons of sunshine. Now, already that's a big change up from what we had earlier today, and that's because a cold front was pushing through last night. So we actually started this Wednesday with a lot more cloud cover, and it was chilly across the high desert during the midday and the late morning and midday hours. Those clouds started to dissipate, and as they broke apart, the sunshine was just setting up over the Pacific Northwest, and that's what we're sitting like just right now. We have tons of sunshine. There are a few spots where we have a little bit of haze, a little bit of smoke in the air. There are still some pile burns going on, and the biggest one is just to the southwest of our Tri-County area, and earlier today we could actually see it from the Willamette Pass camera from the Oregon Hazards Lab, but as of right now, it's not visible in any of those cameras, and it is just to the west and maybe southwest of Gilchrist and Crescent, but for the most part, we just have that smoke overhead. So we will take a look at some of those other cameras across the Tri-County area, and what we're actually seeing is that through Central Oregon, we have some of this haze, we have some of this smoke, but overall, it hasn't brought too many impacts to our air quality conditions. We're looking at two different networks right now. First, the base map, the base layer, the one that's on the map, that is the DEQ hourly average, and it's showing everything in the green. All of those real-time sensors from eSpace Labs are also in the green, or good air quality. And our burn is right about here. And we do have some of that smoke in the air, especially from a couple of our southern cameras that we have. But overall, it's not really impacting our air quality. Even when we look at the purple air sensors, they're really hard to read. That's why I don't use this on air too often, because they're so close or so small that it's really hard to read them all. But for the most part, we're sitting in the green. It looks like up towards Bachelor, there are a couple of spots where we have a little bit of haze impacting air quality. But for the most part, even when we come down into Lapine, good to moderate air quality. So through the next couple of days, it's really going to stay that way. We could have times of reduced air quality or down to moderate, maybe even unhealthy for sensitive groups, but that's because when we sit in this ridge of high pressure, it's going to be prime conditions for pile burning. And though we have gorgeous conditions and we'd like to enjoy that, we do need to go ahead and do some of that. So that will continue, but for the most part, high pressure is going to be the name of the game through the next couple of days. Today, this high pressure brought the three S's that are usually associated with high pressure. That's subsidence, the atmosphere almost pushing down, but it also brings stability, which is the prevention of any real systems to develop. So no thunderstorms across the area, and sunshine. By tomorrow, still partially under a ridge of high pressure. This cold front that's way out over the Pacific Ocean, that's going to get closer. In fact, let's go ahead and back up. We'll get back to what we were just looking at here in the next couple of minutes. We do have the sunshine, and there's just no precipitation in sight. I backed up so we could see the surface analysis on the map, and we have this ridge of high pressure. Cold front number 1 last night is pushing away from us. Cold front number 2, way out over the Pacific Ocean, is rolling this way. Now let's get a better picture at that. We're also looking not just at infrared satellite imagery, but pressure. Those white lines you see all over the map, those are isobars, or equal lines of pressure, and when they start to stack up real tightly, we call that a steep gradient, and we can see that a little bit over southwestern Oregon, but for the Tri-County area, winds are mostly at a light breeze. They've been picking up at times. It's not too bad at all. When we look at the bigger picture, we're noticing a couple of things. First, you can more clearly see that defined ridge of high pressure building into the Pacific Northwest. It's actually another high is centered out over the Pacific Ocean, just off the coastline of the PNW. But when we look further out over the Pacific Ocean, there's a cold front. That's going to be the next one that pushes through, but also a low pressure that's over the Gulf of Alaska, really close to the Aleutian Island chain, and another one near the tail end of the Aleutian Islands. Those two are going to merge together before rolling this way, but our high pressure is a blocking high, and so it's kind of pushing back, not letting that cold front get close to us until later on this weekend. Right now, humidity is pretty dry, and this is measured in percentages, so each one of those is a percent, and we're ranging from 21% to 55%. We're going to keep a close eye on this one all the way through this evening and into tonight, because when the humidity gets up to 90 plus percent, that's when we're starting to keep an eye open for fog development, especially in the given setup that we have this evening. If it was raining, getting up to 90% doesn't necessarily mean fog, or even snowing. It just means precipitation is falling and the vertical column is getting saturated. But when that vertical column gets saturated and there's no precipitation around, that means fog. And where fog develops tonight, we're expecting freezing fog. So it is something we're going to be tracking pretty closely across the high desert here through tonight. But when we go ahead and look at temperatures today, we're right on target with that forecast, y'all. That forecast was, let me look at my notes, it was 58 degrees for today. And right now we topped out in the mid to upper 50s, some 60s on the map, got up to 65 in Warm Springs. But that's exactly what the forecast was, 50s with a few 60s. Now, currently, temperatures are still in the mid to upper 50s for most. Sisters, Sun River, you're in the lower 50s, and Warm Springs is at 64 degrees. But that still puts us at a broad range of temperatures. We're running between 6 degrees warmer and 11 degrees cooler than just 24 hours ago. Now, keep in mind, outside of Jefferson County, most of the Tri-County area is cooler than it was 24 hours ago, but in Jefferson County, it's a little bit warmer in a couple spots. And meanwhile, going forward through the next couple of hours, it gets cooler, then it gets chilly. Look at this. By 11 o'clock, 38 degrees, 41 by 9, 48 by 7. So if you're headed out this evening, grab a jacket. You're going to need it. If you're going to be out and about tomorrow morning, you're definitely going to need that jacket, because not only are we looking at freezing temperatures for several hours, but there's also that potential for some fog. Where fog sets up, that is going to become freezing fog, and that has the potential of some freezing drizzle, maybe some flurries, quite possibly even some slick spots on the road. So if you're out early tomorrow, we're talking around and after sunrise until we really start to warm up until 9 to 10 o'clock. That's where we have that potential for some slick spots. And tomorrow's weather is going to depend on what happens through the overnight hours. If we see this fog develop and become widespread, then it's going to take a while for that fog to lift up off the surface and dissipate. If it doesn't become widespread, then we're just looking at in and out clouds, and temperatures will get a little bit warmer. But we have seen fog be a forecast buster here during the last several years, and that happens when the fog doesn't dissipate right away, temperatures stay chilly. So right now I have lower to mid 50s. I would not be surprised if it was cooler than that, or if most of us topped out in the 50s, depending on what happens with that overnight fog, because some forecast models aren't even showing it. I'm just looking at the conditions and putting fog in the forecast. Now, roller coaster temperatures are expected through the next couple of days. Thursday, it's going to be cooler. In and out clouds are expected, partially under a ridge of high pressure, but almost zonal flow, that west to east flow. Watch what happens on Friday. Our ridge of high pressure amplifies, and what that means for us is when it starts to build a little bit further to the north, we do see the typical ridge of high pressure activity going on, where we start to get subsidence, we start to get stability even more than what we're already expecting, and a little bit more sunshine. But we also have that next cold front coming in, so that's why I still have in and out clouds on Friday. Highs in the 60s. Saturday, highs still in the 60s. That next cold front makes landfall, but it's slow to catch up to the Tri-County area. Most of our rain happens between Saturday evening, Saturday night. By Sunday, we are back to clearing, very similar to what happened earlier today. And by then, highs in the 60s, but on the backside of that cold front, another sharp drop in temperature. So between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., some of us get wet, just not quite everybody. Once all that shower activity pushes through, we'll all be getting wet. So let's go ahead and just take this, break it apart little by little, break it down. So we have our roller coaster temperatures. By Friday on Halloween, we're looking at 60s. But by the evening hours when trick-or-treating times are happening, we're talking between 5 and 9 p.m. We're going from the 50s to the 40s, so it is going to be chilly. Make sure you have those extra layers under the costumes if you're taking the kids out. And going forward after that, the next chance of rain is Saturday. So let's time out this next chance of rain, because during the next 2 days, we're just staying dry across the high desert. So tonight, some areas of fog develop, and then in and out clouds are expected through Thursday, 50s. By Friday, in and out clouds continue that cold front just offshore, 60s with a few 50s possible. And then by 5 p.m., still dry. By 11 p.m. or 9 p.m., still dry. And after that, still dry. So because this cold front is taking its time to make landfall, trick-or-treating times, they're great. And then by Saturday, we start to see some sprinkles cresting over the Cascades. Some scattered showers are expected overnight mostly, and after that, a ridge of high pressure builds into the region. So just a quick look one more time at Saturday night. That's when we're looking at these scattered showers. That was a different forecast model. This is the difference between some of our high resolution models that we use on air and the GFS, that extended long range forecast model. This one's showing almost a bust when it comes to rain overnight Saturday night. So that's why I'm talking about some scattered showers, maybe just a few sprinkles. Some of us don't even get wet. And then by Sunday, back to sunshine. By Monday, in and out cover comes back into play. By Tuesday and Wednesday, that'll be our next chance of rain. A few sprinkles are possible late Monday, but we do get back into an active weather pattern late next week. So by Friday at 11 p.m., most of us still dry. By Saturday at 11 p.m., we're starting to see some of those showers, and most of that rain pushes through Saturday night going into Sunday. After that, Sunday brings clearing. We are back to sunshine, and a cooler day is expected. But most of us are getting wet, and most of that rain happens Saturday night. Meanwhile, today, wind gusts not too bad. Gusts alone are between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Actual wind speeds about 2 to 12 miles per hour. Remember with this graphic, everything to the left of that white line is observed. Everything to the right is forecast. And through the day, we've had a light breeze becoming a gentle breeze overnight. And then by Thursday, during the PM hours, we're talking afternoon, getting close to the evening, gets a little breezy at times. Not too bad at all. By Friday, we stay at a light breeze. So for tonight, some areas of fog, 20s, with a few 30s expected. Most of us below freezing. Some of us drop down to freezing. And then by Thursday, we're talking 50s. Remember, some AM fog lifts up, dissipates, in and out clouds are expected after that, and temperatures top out in the 50s, with a few 40s even possible. By Friday and Saturday, we're sitting pretty in the 60s. And remember, by tonight, some areas of fog are expected. I'll put that in there for the shows, but for the most part, we're not getting wet until we get to Saturday through Saturday night. And even with Saturday showers, we're just looking at some hit and miss showers across the high desert. Better chance of rain holds off until this time next week. So here's a recap of your weather headlines for this Wednesday, October the 29th. Cold starts and more clouds are on the way. Areas of fog are expected tonight with warming in the forecast. We're talking Friday and Saturday getting into the 60s. Weekend showers are in the planner as well. Most of that happens Saturday night with a dip in temperatures by Sunday and Monday. Now that's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. Well, the latest headlines, your most reliable forecasts, and everything else you need to know about trick-or-treating times and then past that. So join us. We'll see you then on Central Oregon Daily News.